As we have left it halfway yesterday, now we will resume the rest of the topic. It's now parasecond. Amongst a multiplicity of other topics, we took occasion to talk of the different characters of the several nations of Europe. When one of the gentlemen cocking his head and assuming such an air of importance as if he had possessed all the merit of the English nation in his own person, declared that the Dutch were a parcel of greedy wretches, the French a set of flattering sycophants, that the Germans were drunken sots and beastly gluttons, and the Snods proud, haughty, and rude tyrants, but that in bravery, generosity, mercy, and in every other virtue the English excelled all the rest of the world. Now, in this para, the author, who is from Ireland, Irish, he says that how people have superiority complex. It is not patriotism, though one should have loved with his own land, but it does not mean that he will love his country at the cost of the hatredness of other nations. Same happens here. In the train where he was traveling, a group of people he saw, mm, you know that in the company where he has participated, he has joined. Among them, there was a person, and he says that we took occasion to talk of the different characters of the several nations of Europe, and now they got engaged to make focus different nations of Europe their conversation. When one of the gentlemen among them in the company, there was a gentleman cocking his head and assuming such an air of importance as if he had possessed all the merit of the English nation in his own person. It is if clause here. It is complex sentence, and there is one subordinate clause and another is independent clause. And now he, leaving it aside, we are here interested with the uh, you know the importance of being impartial, and the gentleman says that but in such an air that he wore an importance look, as he was the superior of all. And then he was of course in English, and he started now expressing his own view. He declared all the nations other than the English inferiors, and highlighted their demerits there. He says that Dutch people of the Denmark, parcel of greedy, and the people of France, that is French, have this uh, have this vice, defect, demerit, that is flattering. They are self-raising, and they have the habit to make false to praise others in order to get their own advantage. That's flattering. And the Germans were drunken sorts and beastly gluttons. Gluttons means those who eat carelessly, who eat like beasts, uh, ferocious eaters. These are gluttons. And the Synod's proud, haughty, and The Spanish people of Spain are haughty, or they are, that arrogant and rude tyrants. But now he branded every nation uh, Galtanis uh, and add epithets to these nations, picolos. But as far as his own nation is concerned, he says that they are brave, they are generous, they are merciful, and every other virtue, whatever the virtue there remains, is present in English people. See that it is a sign of superiority complex, that he has considered all other nations other than this English the inferior ones. This very learned and judicious remark was received with a general smile of approval by all the company. And the author says that, that when we agree to someone, we smile. Smile means that you have agreed what what the other man, what the speaker has said. And here it is irony. Irony means what is said, what has to be said, when it gives the opposite meaning. He says judicious and learned. It means that he is not a judicious, he is not a wise man or a learned or a knowledgeable person. If he has really these traits in him, then he will not talk like that. Therefore, it is not the intention of the author to praise, to 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 consider the that very person really a learned and judicious. It is irony here. Literary device was received with a general smile of approval. The other persons, the other members in the company, they smile means that they approved what he has said. They agreed. All, I mean, but your humble servant, who enduring to keep my gravity as well as I could, and reclining my head upon my arm, continued for some time in a posture of affected thoughtfulness, as if I had been musing on something else, and did not seem to attend to the subject of conversation, hoping by these means to avoid the disagreeable necessity of explaining myself. Now he says that as far as my own self was concerned, I remained in this during that time silent. I put my head upon my arm, and I used an impression that as I was deeply thinking over the over the over the or over some other issues. And actually the author is not interested to that to make argument over the issues when he does not agree, because it creates a sort of chaos. To avoid that chaos, to avoid that hue and cry, he remained silent. And it was his deliberate uh, effort to avoid the disagreeable necessity of explaining myself or himself, we can say himself. And the message of this, uh, when we go between the lines, what we got from these lines is that there are some persons who think themselves that they are great, or their nations are great, or their country is great. But great is one who will give the same value to other people, who will think that the same blood is also running in the blood vessels under the skin, though it has different color, but they have different this physiology. They have the same physiology, and therefore they are the same human beings. There should be no discrimination at all. But as far that Englishman was concerned, he was arrogant, he was eye-centered, and he only thought about his own nation and considered the other nations the inferior races. And then what happened in this episode, we will learn it later on. Thank you.